another language. Duolingo!
Look no feather! I'm here to show you how to use Duolingo for schools. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese to high schoolers, and I teach English as an additional language to adults in the community. Today I'm going to show you how to use the curriculum guide. So here we are in Duolingo for schools, and I've clicked on one of my classrooms. Randomly chose a French classroom. So let's look at the French curriculum. Right over here, we've got our landing page, which is always the students, and then assignments, which I showed you last time. And the curriculum is right underneath that. So let's click on it. All right, so very first off, I could click on one of these to get me immediately to a section of skills that Duolingo has CEFR aligned with beginning, intermediate, and advanced. French and Spanish and several of the other languages are CEFR aligned, and other languages are coming on board soon. And of course, if I needed to switch the language, I could do that right here. So here's basically what things look like. You'll notice it even gives me a little idea of how many of my students have completed the skill already. It gives a little vocabulary right here of what's being introduced, some example sentences. I can click here and go right to the tips and notes. I can click here and go to a sample lesson, or I can click right here and just assign the skill right now. And all the skills are laid out like that. And then if I needed more basic skills, I'd hit show more. And then if I needed intermediate skills, you saw that there's a lot of basic skills. You saw that intermediate was right down here. I just clicked on show more. So there we go. There's the intermediate skills. So it's pretty easy to get where I need to go. And then if I just want to go to advanced skills, I wouldn't have to scroll through everything. So let me tell you a couple of ways that I use the curriculum guide, because Duolingo is a beautiful tool. It's a wonderful tool, but in and of itself, it's not going to teach the language. You need practice. You need a teacher there to facilitate things. So this is what I personally do with the curriculum. One thing I've done in the past is I have taken these words and I had some wooden blocks that had no writing on it. And eventually, when I got really going with this, I went down to the shop class with my colleague and we gave them a big board and we said, could you make us some wooden blocks? So I had all these blank wooden blocks and I drew pictures on each side corresponding to those words. And then I made random dice. So now the students can roll them and come up with random words, and then they're challenged to put them into sentences. Another thing I'm having tremendous success with, especially in this crazy remote learning environment, is TPRS. This is Teaching Proficiency Through Reading and Storytelling. I read a book by Ben Slavic and it really inspired me. And so one thing I've done is I've gone through the Duolingo lessons and I have looked at the vocabulary and put them into these stories, very, very simple stories that the students then help me craft. So there's instructions to the students that they have to say ooh and ah. And I started them by telling them the difference between il y a and il a. So they know that. And then I just started the story, il y a un chien. Chien gets introduced fairly early in Duolingo Basics in the French section. Okay, and then il y a un chien, il y a un chat. No, il n'y a pas de chat. I have never had a class learn the negative so quickly as with this method, and that's why I'm pretty excited by it. But I basically went through with all the words that are in the Duolingo Basics. And here, I don't care if they know these words, cheval, escargot, elephant. I don't care if they know those words. I want them to focus on il y a un chien. Okay, qu'est-ce qu'il y a? And then they get to name the dog. And then we talked about naming conventions. And then we got really into the vocabulary that they had already been playing around with in Duolingo. This is entirely a sentence from Duolingo. I don't care if they know these words here, but we were just playing with this sentence from Duolingo and building onto it. And then we really got into the negative, which made me so happy. Here again, all I wanted them to know was the dog eats. Let me show you a little bit of what it looks like for my Spanish class. These are the words that Duolingo introduces fairly quickly in the introduction in Spanish, intro. Una chica, un gato, una mujer, un hombre. So they did pretty much the same thing. They came up with a different story. It's going a different way. But basically, this is a sentence that Duolingo introduces. We're just building on it. I gave them that because they need to know it, right? I don't really care if they know these verbs yet. They're just getting exposed to them. What I care about is this sentence right here, la chica come. So there are a myriad of ways that you can use this curriculum to help support what you're doing in the classroom, and it's all laid out there, nicely tied up in a little pretty bow by Duolingo for you. Post your questions about pedagogy and how to use Duolingo for schools. Right here, click on that discuss button that we looked at. Make sure you're in the Educators forum on the right-hand side. Post your questions, and I or some other very helpful person will answer them for you. And then I also want to make a plug for the Duolingo Educators Network. Once you click here in the Educators forum, you'll see the sticky, what is the Educator Network? This is honestly the best professional learning community that I belong to. So click there, join up, and I hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
Duolingo. It's the best way for you to learn another language.